about spending your tax money and also your donations. And I think it's rather ironic, you know, I preach the gospel of unintended consequences because every time government's going to do something good, something bad usually comes of it. And even though it's a well-intentioned move on some parts, and the leading hearts will say, we are going to take care of you, bad things can happen. And obviously that happens in foreign policy where things go awry and bad things happen. But by not spending the money in the second quarter, we were still spending the money we raised in the first quarter, which was a modest sum. So in the second quarter, as most of you read, we raised $2.4 million. Because of the conservative approach that we were following and spending money only when necessary, it turns out that at the end of the quarter we had $2.4 million in the bank. And that, of course, is the reason that we got a lot of national attention. By not spending that money on the attempt to build up name recognition and all and getting publicity, literally by not spending money, keeping the money in the bank, having the money when at the end of the quarter, we ended up probably getting $5 or $10 million worth of free publicity. You know, some things really aren't under our total control, and I believe it that way. Things will work out for the best. I believe if you do tell the truth, truth wins out in the end. Sometimes you feel good, and sometimes you feel bad. You wonder when it's going to come. I can tell you about one moment in the campaign that is well known these days, and that happened to have been that short period of time when there was a confrontation from that other candidate that I think he's from New York, used to be still not quite sure. That was pretty early in the campaign. I wasn't sure how things would go. And, of course, the confrontation occurred. I was telling it like I thought it was, you know, and giving it the same explanation I've given for all these many years, and especially on this foreign policy. And, of course, when the attack occurred, and I had my less than 30 seconds to answer back, it really doesn't give you a chance to explain foreign policy, but I did my very best. And then, of course, the put down and then the tremendous support from the Fox-selected audience there. So there were a few neocons in the audience. But anyway, yes, that made me feel not so good and rather lonely at the time. And I had no idea what it meant because I didn't know at that time. It was the first signal was that yes, indeed, you were right in the first place. There aren't very many out there that's supporting this position that I've been espousing. But lo and behold, within 20 minutes or so, one of the staff members came over to me and said, "You won't believe it." He says, "You're winning in the post-debate polling." Giving that particular candidate a reading assignment, I should have sent him a thank you note. I don't know whether I will get the chance, but possibly. You can't ever tell what happens on debates, but maybe I will get the chance to ask him whether or not, or accuse him of not doing his homework. But, you know, I'm feeling very good about what's happening. Obviously, there are more people in the country that belong to the remnant, the true believers of freedom and what America is all about. So this is a pleasant discovery to bring in and energize these individuals. Of course, those individuals energize me because I needed that energy, so it's a mutual association here of me helping at the same time many of you who are interested help me. So this to me is very important, but the other equally, if not more exciting issue is that people are receiving the message like I never dreamed they would. I always see education and political action and political changes as slow, but I do also know that there can be a rapid acceleration of any type of event, sometimes going down or going up. And in this case, I think what is happening is because the message is so powerful, and because we've been able to get a little more attention than generally the freedom message gets, all of a sudden, a lot of people are saying, you know what, it makes a lot of sense. Really what has become inspiring is the fact that young people are so open to this message and so interested and so excited about what's happening. And they come to my office now, literally in dozens in Washington. And it's very interesting. The young people will come, and their parents frequently will be with them because they might be young teenagers or older teenagers or young college kids. But very often the parents will come. And I'll ask them, I'm always interested in what was it that made you become interested? Is there a particular issue? It's usually the general issue, and almost inevitably they bring up the issue of the Constitution. So I just think that is great that these young people are saying, I love the Constitution. Any of my businessmen friends around and those individuals, but generally speaking, the average businessman who's up to bit in age will come in. I never hear them saying, I want you to really follow the Constitution, because they're coming usually to get a contract from the government. Or they're coming from some drug company that wants to perpetuate this medical system that we have that serves the interests of the drug companies and the PPOs and the health management. But it's fascinating because the ideas of freedom are very young in the course of all history. If you look at 6,000 years of recorded history, we've only had a taste of it. Almost all of history has been involved with dictators and kings and Caesars and always oppressing the people. And yet the ideas of the importance of the individuals have been known for a long time. But it's only been in real recent times, really in our history, that the creative energy of individual responsibility has been allowed to blossom. And this is what we have to preserve. This is what we have to realize, that if we are to be compassionate about our fellow man, which many are in Washington, but I think they do the wrong things. They are compassionate. But true compassion means you have to be a believer and an understanding of liberty and how it works. Because liberty is what produces the goods and the services that eradicates poverty. It was only with the Industrial Revolution, and especially with the freedoms we had in this country, that actually it was the Industrial Revolution and freedom that got rid of child labor. It wasn't child labor laws, it's the magnificence of freedom and the way it works. So this is something that we as conservatives and libertarians and constitutionalists have to realize, that we cannot seem to lack compassion, because in that case it seems to be self-serving and suspect. But it is truly the only system that can allow us to take care of the maximum number of people. The goal would never be equality, because once there's equality is the goal that we seek through political action. Sure, you can achieve equality of poverty is what you end up with. But indeed, our revolution was a grand revolution, and I would like to think that our revolution today is a continuation and an advancement of the revolution that was started more than 200 years ago. The most important thing is that we see liberty as being something individual. Not only do do I see this in my spiritual life, that my individual life is important because of the Christian teachings. And at the same time, in politics and economics, the individual is important too. And we get our life and liberty from our Creator. We don't get it from our government. That's